Hello and welcome to your Thoughts from the Green Room with your host Jeff Mays. This week's topic, fitting in. As you all know, I base these vlogs off of conversations I've had with friends, family, colleagues, and people on the street. This week is no different. I'd like to put a shout out to Jeff White, whose conversation this afternoon inspired this upcoming vlog. Jeff is a talented artist and actor based in Toronto, and if you're interested in any of his work, hell, just go to the theaters and watch him in My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 on screens right now. On to the topic, fitting in. Jeff and I were talking, and I was discussing with him my struggle right now of getting seen by bigger casting agents and getting bigger projects. Doesn't seem to be happening in this moment, and he looked at me and said, "But Jeff, you've been working so much lately," which is true. In the last 3 months, I've done 7 films, all independent, all on a smaller scale, and that doesn't take away from the work. It just doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pay my rent or get me seen on a big screen anywhere, which is my desire. And he said to me first, he said, well, if you're doing all that work, you're obviously bookable. You're obviously castable. Pause right there. Casting agents, take a look. Jeff White said that Jeff Mays is castable. I am a viable quantity to be shot and seen in film. Call on me. Put me in an audition. I'll do the work. And we'll pause right there. Come back in. Ladies and gentlemen, and Jeff said to me, what's your niche? I looked at him funny. He says, one of the things that actors do, and I'd suggest artists, so we shoot ourselves in the foot because we over-diversify. Hey, I'm an actor. Look at me. I can do everything. This is true for many people. But the next thing is, Mr. Actor, where do I put you if you can do anything? You're a jack of all trades. I've got an expert in this. I'm going to pick them first. It may be one of those things that stops us from getting called into a room because we don't really present because we're a whitewash of things. With that in mind, we come back to Jeff saying, hey, what's your niche? What's your hit? Now, I've heard this a zillion times, and it's never sunk in, but today it did. Thank you, Mr. White, for bringing this to my attention. In looking at the past 7 films I've done, they've all been roles for father figure, coach, mentor, older brother. In the past, way back when I started my career, I kept getting cast as the sidekick to the lead because I had information to impart to help the lead finish the task. I mentored them through the tough process. It seems that my hit, my niche, would be the imparter of information, the sage who passes stuff on, the mentor figure. There are various levels of that: father, older brother, coach, trainer, you get the idea. And now that I've recognized that, it may give me somewhere to stand, to focus in on, and present myself differently when I go into auditions. Actors, what's your hit? What's your niche? Now, you all know that I like to make this universal. It's not just about actors. And I turn to everybody who's not an artist specifically, who's working their 9 to 5, and I ask you, do you feel like you fit in? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. For those of you who don't feel like you fit in, why not? Maybe at home, things are a little off-kilter because your aunts come to visit for 3 months, or maybe there's a newborn child in the house and you're not exactly sure how your role is defined. And in these 2 examples, the home life and the work life, I ask you to take a look at what your niche is. Maybe you're the office guy who is a good proofreader and does final drafts, or the office gal who's really great at writing grant proposals. Maybe you're a quirky mom to a new son, or a great cook for the aunt who's staying for the next 3 months. I don't know what it may or may not be, but I encourage you, if you're feeling off kilter, find some solid footing in a little piece of a niche, as that's what one of the benefits of this niche concept is. With that in mind, it brings me, of course, to this week's challenge. For anybody out there who's feeling a little off-kilter and that you don't fit in, I encourage you to take a look at yourself this week and isolate those feelings. That's 1. 2, once isolated, Further yourself by seeing if you've got any skill or specificity in which you can fit into and carve out a little bit of a niche for yourself. Maybe you will be that office guy or gal who writes the final draft after a good proofread. And with that said, for those of you who do feel like you fit in and do feel like you've got something going on, I challenge you to take a look at yourself and consciously recognize whether or not you have a niche. And if so, make a capitalization on it because it's conscious. All right? Those are your thoughts from the green room. I will see you in 1 or 2 weeks.